Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good day everyone. So today I will discuss about the hazards evaluation or exposure assessments. So in this topic, we will talk about the purpose of evaluations and also how to calculate the dose effects and also which include the safety factor. So safety factor is very important part of the exposure assessments. So basically this is the introductions to the exposure assessments. So we will have a specific topic for this exposure assessments, which those response assessments. So that one is very detailed assessment on the exposure. And also we want to know about the purpose of assessments. So the purpose of exposure assessments, and also determination of what those that can cause us a response. Right. So what is exposure assessments? So exposure means a contact at a boundary between humans and the environment at a specific contaminant for a specific period of time. So meaning that we have a contaminant. Let's say we have endocrine disrupting compounds, and how long it is exposed, the period of time, the duration of time the exposure occurs for the humans. Right. So exposure assessments also we want to identify affected populations and calculates the amount, frequency, length of time, and the routes of exposure. Right. So for the exposure assessments, we have four parameters that we want to discuss in this topic. So the first one is general information for each chemical, the sources, exposure pathways, and environmental fate, and the measures or estimated concentrations. Right. So the physical chemical properties of chemicals, we have to know about the basic informations on the contaminants or chemicals that we are dealing with. So basically we want to know how it is transported from one media to one media. Okay. So that's, for example, from the surface water into sediments, or surface water into the humans. So we want to know how it is transported and how it is accumulated in the environment and in the tissue. So in the tissue is in the humans. So and then how it is transformed when it is released. So when the chemicals released into the environment, so we want to know whether it is transformed into another form of chemicals that are very dangerous or very harmful compared to the parents or original chemicals. So some chemicals may undergo transformations into metabolites that are more harmful than the original chemicals or contaminants. So these facts determine the dose and the routes of exposure. And for the sources of exposure, so the exposure can occur either through the indoor, so for example inside the home. So when we have a cleaning products, paints or pesticides in the inside the home. So how it is exposed to the humans. And outdoor, for the outdoor, for example, outside the homes, so pollutants in air or pollutants in water, surface water. So these pollutants may have a contact with the humans, and then will have effects to the humans. Alright, and then how the exposure pathways and environmental effects. So after the source identifications, route and nature of the exposure have to be determined. So for example, exposure through drinking water. So when we drink the water, and the water have pollutants in there, so we might expose to the pollutants. So basically, for the water, the route of chemicals into the humans through the ingestions or consumptions of contaminated water. Alright, so and another issue is another parameters that we have to look into is a measure of estimated concentrations. So measured concentrations are obtained from the actual samples of the source of exposure. So we do the samplings, collect the real samples, and we do some analysis on the samples. So another way around is estimated concentrations when the samples are not available, and we use the mathematical model to estimate the concentrations. Alright, so this is the methods that we can use to measure the exposure. So either through questionnaire surveys, right? So we could we take a look on the questionnaire surveys, and another way around is employment record. So this relate to the industry when we collect data from the employment records from inside the factory. So and then we evaluate of environmental contamination data. So basically we get data from the government agency such as Department of Environment and as well as Department of Chemistry. So they have some data on that, and then we can have a take a look on the data and evaluate the data. Alright, so factors which influence the extent of exposure. The first factor is size of populations, right? And then the proximity of the community to source of contaminations, and then some the degree of personal contacts with the site. So let's say we have the contaminated sites, so we want to know what the extent of contaminations to the personals that are dealing that are in the fields. Right, the extent of release of substance, okay, how the rates of release of substance in the environment. So another characteristics to include in exposure assessment, such as possible health effects, right? So health impact on susceptible populations and geographic area. Alright, so also we have recurrent problems in exposure assessment, such as absence of actual data, lack of personnel monitoring, inaccurate exposure assessments, lack of documentations indicating exposure amount and dose, and we also have problems in determining causal relationships, and also we lack of published research. So this lead to the inconsistent data related to exposure and health. Alright, and then also the limited use of epidemiological methods, association of low-level exposure and disease, studies of adverse effect, and differentiations of populations. Alright, additional component of the risk assessment. So this two items we will discuss later in the specific topic for this one. Alright, so this is risk management. So we want to determine the best approach to address an exposure issue, evaluate data from risk assessment as well as evaluate other issues. So some term of definitions for the risk assessments. So we have you can take a look on these terms and definitions. I think that all for this topic. I will see you in the next topic of this